Hello everybody. So I don't cover Tesla much on this channel, but Tesla is one of my top positions along with MicroStrategy, and I'm publishing this video mostly to counterbalance and counteract the fears that I see all over the internet and counterbalance it with fact. And that's why the title of this video is Biggest Quarter Ever. Tesla had the biggest quarter ever. This is the chart. Thank you for Bunti Eng for putting this together, making my video quicker. This is the chart. You can see they have sold this quarter, Q4, this past quarter now, 495,570 cars. This is the biggest quarter in the history of Tesla. That's an all-time high, and it's also more cars than the prior Q4 of 2023. So last year's Q4, they only had 484,000 cars. So they moved from 484,000 cars sold to 495. So that is an increase. That is a major good news. I could also focus on the news that tell you that the stock is running low. If you look at the way it was in 2003, you could see in 2023, you could see the cars were sitting on the lot a lot more. They had produced, for example, 476,000 Model 3 and Model Y, but only delivered 461. You can see that the market is turning around because they produced 436,000 Model 3 and Model Y this year in 2024, but they delivered 471,930, and so they're running out of stock. The stock is running low, and sure enough, if you follow the channels who spend a lot of time studying Tesla in too much detail sometimes, you know that there's an issue with the stock, and the stock might be running below 8 or 7 days. If that keeps going, we might see longer delivery times coming up pretty shortly if that keeps going. So this is great news, yet. And this is to no surprise, what do we see in the headlines? The headlines are so negative then even Google's AI, which is one of the leading AIs out there, even Google's AI, when sorting the headline, gets it wrong. Google's AI says Tesla fourth quarter deliveries fall for the first time in years. You got it wrong, Google. It's just the way the headlines are written. Actually, it's the annual deliveries that are slightly down. And of course, every single headline out there reports on the annual deliveries. I bet you if they were down for the quarter, they would have reported solely on the quarter. I bet you if they had been up for the year, you know what they would have reported on? They would have reported on the production being down. Oh, look, the production is down. What we knew, though, is that they were never going to report on the fact that this was the biggest quarter ever, and this is the most cars Tesla ever sold in a Q4 in the history of Q4s for Tesla. No, they didn't report on that. That's why I want to publish my video, so that my thumbnail is out there and that you see that some people love it and some people love that they see what they see, and I love what they see. And by the way, it's a little too easy for the analysts who have been overly negative for well over a decade for Tesla all of a sudden turn positive. And may I point out that the analysts were weirdly, I'm going to use the term weird. It was weird that the analysts were so positive. I was shocked when I started seeing these consensus estimates for Q4 to be in the 506, 507,000. Some analysts had much higher numbers. I was shocked because if you follow the leading Tesla analyst on this, the leading Tesla analyst only had predicted, it's Troy Teslike, by the way, let me put the source, Troy Teslike is his handle. If you follow his analysis, if you follow the biggest analyst on there, he only had predicted 501,000. So he was 1% off, roughly. Wall Street was 2% off to the upside. Either way, it's very odd that Wall Street was so high, point number one. And point number two, it's just dumb. Like the stock is down 7% because of a 1% difference difference on a quarterly result, a 1% difference on a quarterly result. And the stock is down 7%. This is Wall Street for you, in my view. This is a buying opportunity, and I added to Tesla again the first time in a long while. And this is all driven by the noise, by the headlines. This is what I think. Biggest quarter ever in another area too, and this one is really worth celebrating. This one is really, because we're up like 2 to 3% year over year. Fine. On the car deliveries, fine. What's really worth celebrating is this one. This one is, and thank you to Tesla Chan for posting this. This has been trending on Twitter. This should have been the headline everywhere, which is that energy storage is going through the roof. And I calculated it in my spreadsheets here on Tesla, my private spreadsheets on this. I calculated that this quarter, energy storage might actually be 15% of revenue. So this is the energy part, the energy deployment part is slowly becoming a big story for Tesla. Year over year, energy storage, the deployment of these Tesla megapacks, that's up 243% year over year. And they're about to open a giant megapack factory in China in Q1, probably, by the way, which should keep going and keep increasing that deployment. That's now 15% of our revenue. What if they do another plus 200%, i.e. tripling again in 2025? Even if cars stay flat, then that would grow to 45% of revenue. And I don't think cars are going to stay flat. I really don't. So this is outstanding. This is what the headlines should focus on. And I make my own headline. I want to focus on that for this video. Tesla has a top position for me. The stock is currently seen mostly as a car company. But really, the models break down, or are about to break down, when people start realizing, what if a few years from now, close to a third of the sales or half the sales are energy? Then people will be like, oh wait, is it an energy company? And of course, the elephant in the room is the AI with the robotaxi, with Optimus. That's the elephant in the room right there. So Wall Street, in my view, is really blind on this one. That's what I think. And I'll conclude with evaluation. And I see one of the reasons why I kind of stopped covering Tesla is because Tesla, just like MicroStrategy, I'm getting the same reaction from MicroStrategy. There's a lot of people who absolutely hate Tesla. And so in the early days of the channel, when I used to cover it, I used to get so much flack for covering Tesla. And so I was like, okay, well, this is a hobby. I'm not going to talk about this if I just hear unsavory comments all the time. I'm just not going to bother. Now I don't really care as much. I can cover it a little more. But the truth is, I use analyst numbers in there, in my spreadsheet. And I use 13% because that's what the analysts say. And I use analyst numbers mostly for consistency. They're consistent, but they're also consistently wrong and consistently, inaccurate. Well, anyways, say more, right? If I go back to the way I used to value Tesla, if you go back 2 years ago when I had less than 1,000 subscribers, and I go back 2 years ago, I used to say Tesla is going to grow 50% year over year, because that's what Elon promised. Elon said, we're going to get to 20 million by 2030. We're going to grow 50% year over year. And kudos to James Stephenson, again, one of the leading influencers on Tesla. He said to the bears, he said, oh, kind of a wink here. Oh, you're right. They didn't do 50% CAGR over the past 11 years. They had 49% CAGR. So you're right, bears. They're at 49% CAGRs. So just for fun, I put back the number that I used to use, the number that I think a lot of the Tesla community uses. I put it back and I put it 49% in my spreadsheet. And if I put a 49% growth rate, and keep in mind, 15% I estimate, 15% of a revenue line, which is the mega packs, 15% of that line is growing at 250%. So that's what I was, 243%, sorry. So imagine that. Imagine if I put back 49%. If I put back 49% growth on this revenue growth next 12 months, imagining that, then what do I get? I get an EV, enterprise value over gross profit over revenue growth, of a 1.39. Expensive, yes, but in line with a lot of big tech. That's in line with Google. That's in line with Microsoft. So not that far-fetched for a big tech stock if you assume that growth rate. And I get a rule of 40, well above 40 again at a 63. So this stock fits in my spreadsheet. It's just a matter of that it's hard to wrap our heads around the growth numbers and growth numbers that will be credible to myself, but also credible to a lot of a community. There's a lot of people who absolutely just flat out don't believe in Tesla, and so if you start putting out things thinking 50% growth numbers, people think you're delusional. I don't think I'm delusional. I think over the long run, this company will continue being near a 50% year-over-year growth rate. That is what I think, and that is why the numbers get bonkers, and that is why Tesla is my second biggest position after MicroStrategy. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. This was not financial advice, not investment advice. This is only entertainment. Hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.